Hey everybody, Laura Sanko here backstage at MSG for Quick Hits presented to you by Jose Cuervo, and I am here with Major General Crumbly of the Air National Guard. Thank you so much for joining us, especially today on Veterans Day, as we honor everybody who has served our country, and thank you, sir, for your service as well.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, tell me first, how's your trip to New York been thus far?
The trip has been awesome. The flight went smooth, right? That typically is a good indicator. So the flight went well. People at the hotel are nice, and the city is, it's New York. I've had a great time since I've been here. So
being an airman yourself, do you judge those pilots just a little bit? Be honest on their landings.
There's always some judgment as a pilot. So but no, I mean, as long as you get somewhere safe, and then that's all that counts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, before we talk a little bit about the fights tonight, for those of us who don't necessarily know all the details about how the intricate parts of our nation's military work together, talk to me about the Air National Guard, what it does and what makes it so unique.
Okay, so the Air National Guard has a special place in our Department of Defense. We have over 40% of the tankers. We have over 40% of the airlift, and we have over 30% of the fighters. So we are the operational reserve for the United States Air Force. So basically, if we do any combat action, members of the Air National Guard will be there in some sort of way.
Talk to me a little bit about what drew you, I guess, to this line of service. Because I'll be honest with you, when I'm researching you before these interviews, I can see the passion and the amount of work and how much of your life you have dedicated to this area of service. And it reminds me in many ways of when I'm researching fighters. There's something about that passion that really speaks to me. So what was it about the Air National Guard that drew you in?
So as a child, I always wanted to be in the military, and I always wanted to fly. So it's not really a job as long as you're doing something that you love, right? And then as I've matriculated up in my career, you get to the point where you're like, I've got a lot of more runway behind me than in front of me. So I want to ensure that I leave good replacements, right? So that's how I got into recruiting and making sure that I recruit from all of America, right? Because with the challenges that we have in the world today, if you're looking at the news, evil doesn't take a day off, and neither can we. So I want to make sure that we're mining for Americans in every part that we can find them, and tell them how good the service is, not just the benefits that you can get from it, but the feeling that it gives you, and most importantly, to deliver lethality against our enemies should the time come if the nation calls for it. So that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Well, it's clear I can feel the passion, even just talking to you, I can feel it. But I also know, in terms of tonight, you are a very big Jon Jones fan.
A little bit.
A very big, which I'm sure you were very disappointed when he fell off the card.
Yes, I was.
However, the UFC, in fine fashion, was able to get together a co-main event in this heavyweight division for the interim title. That is a phenomenal fight, and it really, I think, speaks to the readiness, especially for Tom Aspen, to take this fight on just 2 weeks' notice. It speaks to the readiness, the dedication, the preparation, and the professionalism, things I'm sure that also speak to you in your line of work.
Yes, so for Aspinall, in particular, you never know when the call is going to come. Just like with us, with airmen and soldiers, sailors, and Marines, we don't know when the next war is going to start, but we have from now until then to be ready for it. And he stayed ready. I can't imagine just sitting there at home and I'm like, oh, it's time to go to the gym. Well, do I really want to go to the gym? But he did it. And now he's here, and probably the most famous sports arena in America, Madison Square Garden, about to go up for the title fight. So, I mean, that just goes into, speaks to if you stay prepared, right, if you don't have to get ready. And I just, when I heard that story yesterday, I just kind of smiled, because when I go home to see my 3 children, I'm like, hey, another daddy story for you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we'll see how that fight turns out. But his dedication when no one was watching, right, doing the right thing when no one was watching, that is key to any kind of success. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Absolutely. And in the main event, we have Yuri Prochazka, former champion, coming back after a very, very long time away, horrible injury. And then Alex Pereira, his own challenges, really, because this is just his second fight at light heavyweight. So both of these guys in the main event coming into this fight with their own unique set of challenges. And, being a major general, I'm sure you've given many, many speeches. But I'm interested to know if you were to if you were to give some advice, soldier to fighter,
That's right.
what would your advice be for their mentality as they go to their version of a battle tonight?
So my advice would happen probably a month or two before our conversation right now, and it would be study your opponent. Study everything about them. Study when they get up, what they do after they get up, what they do in the ring, right? Is one of them more of a grappler, one of them more of a puncher? Get inside their decision cycle, because if you don't do that, if you don't prepare for the fight mentally, even more so than physically, it will assure your defeat in the octagon. So that would be my advice. Get inside your other opponent's decision cycle, study them like you would study for a test, and then once you get in there, your resolve and your knowledge should help you overcome any obstacles.
Well, and tonight you are not just an audience member. You will be walking out with a fighter, Matt Frevola, who is himself a member of our military community. And interestingly enough, he is fighting a French special forces soldier. So there's a lot going on here. What does it mean to you, especially on Veterans Day, to be able to make that walk to the octagon with Matt Frevola?
So I'm stoked.
Yes.
If I can say that, but because he's an Army vet. I was in the Army first. Before I flew helicopters, before I flew jets in the Air Force. So I was also in the Army. He's an Army reservist. He's an engineer and an officer. So just to have that common bond with him, right, to walk out with him, and we're here in New York on Veterans Day, so I'm just super excited, and we'll see what happens once he gets in the octagon.
What do you think that energy is going to be like on the walk? Because he's a hometown guy.
Electric. Absolutely electric.
Major General Crumbly, thank you so much for your time. Thank you again for your service. It's an honor to talk to you. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Locked in right here. More quick hits headed your way.